Well, after a lot of one-way talks, we now have a heated power panel discussion moderated by Bharati, Lele, Head Innovation Labs and Cloud Computing Center of Excellence, L&T Infotech. And the panelists are Radhakrishnan, Menon, CIO, Biocon; Alok, Dashora, Vice President, Tata Sky; Arvind, Laddha, CEO, Vantage; Khona, General Manager, L&T; and Dhiraj, Trivedi, Assistant VP and Resource Management and Electronic Distribution, Royal Orchid Hotels. The topic of the panel is the cloud opportunity and challenge, views from sectors. This panel discussion will cover how industries across verticals view cloud computing opportunities, security, regulatory issues, cost, vendor lock-in, and resilient technologies. May I request the panelists to please come on stage.
So I'll leave it to Bharati to handle this discussion. So I believe this session is going to be extremely interesting, and I would request the audience to keep this panel occupied by asking a lot of questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikant. And I'm sure it will be. And so I would request Arvind to come on the dais, please. Yeah, please. Radhakrishnan. Thank you. Alok.
Thank you.
Dhiraj. And Harshad. So as you can see, I have pen, lots of paper, my notebook, and all of that is to save myself, okay? Because I come from IT services, and I thought this is a forum because we keep, whenever there is cloud computing sessions, most of them, I'm there in some or the other capacity, and I see people mostly talk from the IT services or from technology, and nobody really talks from the industry perspective. And that's where I was very, very keen that we should have something which the audience can really benefit in terms of understanding that how or what each industry sector has to offer. Does it really make sense for them to have something in cloud computing? Or is it really something that they are using it? Or maybe there are something that they think that it's not really beneficial for them. Because most of the time we talk about only of our experience, technology, and this thing and that thing, whatever happens. So I am not an expert, and that's where all the expertise which we have on the floor, I'm going to count the number of years of them, and I will equate myself with that, and obviously that's not going to match. So I will need a lot of support from you audience on that. Are you guys there with me? Thank you. So with that, I will very quickly introduce our panel members. So Arvind is a chartered accountant and a cost accountant by education. Okay, he's also a member of these institutes as well as Insurance Institute of India. So we have various sectors, and you will understand that the various sectors that we have here. And surprisingly and very interestingly, he started Vantage Insurance Brokers in 2004. His main idea was to focus on this insurance sector and to make sure that all the corporates can manage their employee related to insurance portfolios, especially in health insurance. Now they are diversifying in many other areas, and as we go, I'm going to ask him a lot of things based on that. But for your just information, this health insurance which we are talking about is the fastest growing insurance in the insurance sector. So in insurance sector, there are many more other things, and they started with this health insurance, but they are also they're one of the largest insurance brokers, by the way, and more than 500 corporates span India. And in such a short span of time, I think this is really great achievement. And with that, I will leave it at this point, and I will move to the next panel in terms of introduction, but I'm going to come back and ask him a lot of questions on that. Next panel member is Radhakrishnan ji. I'm going to call you Radha, please, yep. It's too long. Okay, he's Associate Vice President Systems in Biocon Limited. So he comes from the healthcare industry that we are talking about. And Biocon, interestingly, is India's premier biopharma enterprise, which is one of the most innovative company, and it delivers affordable healthcare solutions to patients, partners, and healthcare systems across globe. Now, please remember the word affordable, because we are going to ask a lot of questions based on that. And they have come up with many things. I can't even read the names of those things, but Pisha, is that right? Yeah, Pisha, okay. That's a human insulin, Insugen, and many other things that they have come up with for head and neck cancer. Now, this is really indigenous, and how does this all relate? Does it really relate to our ITs? Does it really relate to cloud computing? To be very particular, we will see how that really comes from that. So we are going to ask questions on that. Okay, and so let me count the number of years as I promised you. So first, Arvind, 17 years. Radha, 23 years. Who is good at maths? Please tell me, how much does it got to? 30 years. So already there is already crossed much more than me. The third one which I have here is Alok Dashora. He's been Vice President IT at Tata Sky, and during his tenure he's continuing there in Tata Sky, he's the guy who has taken the Tata Sky to the sky, the cloud part of that. That's what his prime role was, and how he did that, and what are the different things that he did in terms of CRM, billing systems, and all that. We will have very pointed questions on that, but today they mainly manage, we all know, in the area of media and entertainment. So what does cloud computing relate to media and entertainment is something that we are going to ask him. Then coming to Dhiraj Trivedi, he's Assistant Vice President of Revenue Management and Electronic Distribution, Royal Orchid Hotels. Okay, so he comes from services industries, and there are lots and lots of other services industries probably where we can relate this, right from your airlines, freight management, travels, tourism. Mostly you will see will fit into one of these, and when we talk about the services industries, we'll get a lot of insight into that. And he is interestingly, he's doing his doctorate in management studies in e-commerce and entrepreneurship, which he is expected to finish this year. So a lot of things we can ask him. And then we have, Dhiraj, how many years? Have to
15
add?
and still
15.
Counting.
You have 15 as well, 30, 60 years. Don't forget that. Okay. And then we have Mr. Harshad R. Khona. He is, he's B Mechanical and postgraduate in management industries, and very unthinkable in today's industries where one person being in one single company for so many years really calls for a round of applause. He's been in L&T for 36 years. Okay. He's General Manager Electrical and Automation in L&T. And his most area of experience, is in manufacturing. Whatever you can think in manufacturing and core engineering, something that he comes with in supply chain, procurement, planning, and everything. So last 6 years, he's been spearheading the business process management of SAP implementation. So a lot of questions we will ask from manufacturing, engineering, and in particular SAP implementation from them. So before we get there, and main questions which come up, I'm going to ask each one of them to very shortly introduce themselves, and then we will see how we will take it forward from there. So starting with you, Arvind. So what have your experience been in cloud computing? Do you think that in insurance industry, do you guys have really done something in that, or is just a hype that you have heard and you think it's a complete no-no?
No, I think the insurance industry has been fairly quick at adapting to the cloud and cloud-based solutions. I think a couple of advantages that clearly we see for the industry. One is, like you rightly mentioned, there's an industry that's growing faster than most other industries.
You guys can hear him?
So there's an industry that's growing faster than most other industries. So having a cloud-based solution offers scalability if you own your own equipment and have to keep investing in that, and growth happens faster than your investment, then clearly that would become a constraint on the business itself. So I think
So that's your firm belief because you have read it, or is it that you are doing something in cloud computing where you have seen these properties that you are saying, or the characteristics?
So we already use 2 cloud-based solutions. Right?
Okay.
One of them
Interesting.
is a solution that allows our customers access to their information, wherever they are, whenever they are. So it's a 24/7 availability of data for our customers. And second is the one that we use internally to keep all the data that we have secure in a cloud-based backup tool that offers very high level of security because it encrypts at the source, etc. So clearly 2 solutions that we've already used and used very satisfactorily. Not to say the least, our clients are themselves very satisfied with what they see.
So when you said that, so this solution obviously falls probably in the category of where you have a product and you are offering this solution to your other customers, right? So how openly your customers have taken that their data reside with somewhere, either it's with you or somewhere else in the public cloud, how open are they to use that?
So some of our clients really are corporates in the financial services industry where security of data is very, very critical. They have examined, they have looked at the data security checks that we have, that the product offers, that our vendor offers in terms of the product that we use, and they have all been very satisfied with the levels of security that we offer their data and the types of checks and balances that are there, and we found no resistance really in terms of any caution expressed from their side or reservation expressed from their side on using these tools. So.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you again on this because this is one of the hottest topic, and you will also probably get a lot of questions from the audience. Okay, moving to Radha, what have your experience been? You are using cloud computing in some way?
Yeah, we have created a private cloud, and basically because we have a lot of data requirement which requires computing power, and it has to be secure, and various reasons like regulatory requirements and stuff like that. So what we have done is, we have created a private cloud, and deploying the applications at a faster pace has become very easy. Because of regulatory requirements, we need to keep, we need to have a testing phase and a production phase. It's a must. And then while deploying the applications, it is necessary to have the testing servers ready in a shorter period of time than moving to the production.
So as I read some more things that I read in your profile, and I saw that somewhere you have written that, in the IT infrastructure, the Biocon that it has includes on-premise mailing system, mail gateway, ERP, SharePoint, etc. So is your mailing system on cloud?
No, mailing system is not on cloud. It
Why?
is actually been separated out, but there are a lot of other applications which have been put on cloud. Like we are using a CRM which is on cloud, which is in-house cloud, which we are also planning to move to the public cloud.
Okay, but the reason why I asked, I just wanted to understand that perspective from your idea, that why would people be averse to taking the mail system on cloud? Was there any reason, or is just that?
Yeah, there are a lot of, see, as you know that, we are an R&D oriented IP-based company. And we do have, a lot of stake with, while protecting the IP data. So we do have, multiple levels of security, even for mailing system. We are not supposed to send. There are content filters which are available, which are implemented to ensure that there is no leakage of data which is happening.
Okay, on the R&D and the innovation which you have said, I'm parking it now, I'm moving on, but I'm going to come back to you on the R&D because that has generated a specific interest in me as to how that R&D can really be leveraged in a better way if you would have chosen to use some of the cloud computing. I may come totally from an IT perspective, and you can just prove me wrong, saying that no, come what may, whatever you say, I may not go there, you know. So you will have your reason, but I'm going to come back to you on that. But with that, I'll just move to you. Why don't you tell me, Alok, in terms of your experience, what you have used, or do you agree with the other gentleman in terms of using cloud, or you think that it's piece of crap?
So Bharati, I think the straightforward answer will not be just yes or no.
Okay.
It has got its own pros and cons, and I was instrumental in taking the cloud journey for Tata Sky. I will steal one of your phrase which I saw in last presentation from you. It was an experience full of failures. So I will be sharing with you, there are certain advantages and there are certain disadvantages also of the cloud. So first of all, the challenge which forced us to think was, and I'm sure many of the B2C companies in India are going through it, is fluctuation in transaction volume. Am I audible? Fluctuation in transaction volumes, and the fluctuations are of the order of multiples. It's like 1:3, 1:4. It's not like 0.4 or 0.5%. So those sort of fluctuations either force you to buy infrastructure which is suboptimal and utilize it for
So are you hinting towards scalability?
It is very much, and scalability of sort of explosion levels. Particularly media industry goes through it because media is event-driven industry. So you come to know about a cricket series or a cricket
I was
match.
just going to ask you, is it related to IPL that you know?
Yes, actually IPL has also forced, enhance the transactions, because anytime IPL is announced, suddenly you will see everybody activating the cricket pack, and once the IPL completes, most of the guys will be deactivating their packs. So you will see the transaction volumes multiplying exponentially than the anticipated capacities are. Similar other events, for example, you have football series. There is a good amount of folks in northeast and eastern part of India who are football, football crazies. Media events, movies, some of them really make the systems get system transaction volumes exponentially grow, but eventually come back to normal stage. So to cater to all those requirements, and also there are business volume expansions which happen at the festive times.
So that's a good part of it. I'm not interested in that. What is that you said that there is some disadvantage and you think that cloud is bad? You have to tell me that.
I know. I was trying to avoid that, but I think you
No,
really
you
want to
can.
hear that.
Yeah.
So let me just share. See, the challenge we had was we went for a cloud deployment, and we utilize the scalability out of it. The challenge there are, first of all, it exposes us to a limit beyond which we can't expose our infrastructure to external cloud, because there are IT Act 2009 limitations which prevent us to expose the data. So which has led us to a heterogeneous situation. Part of it is in cloud, part of it is not in cloud, can't move to cloud, and all that situation.
Okay, I think you have opened a Pandora's box by bringing the IT Act, and I'm going to come back to you on that, because that is something that people will be interested in knowing more about it. And you may have a point.
But like a technocrat, I'll certainly answer it.
Yeah, but you may have a point, but I will still not say that cloud is bad, okay? So don't go there.
Sure.
Yeah, so I would like to know from you in terms of what have your experience been?
But in terms
You
of service
are
industry,
from services, right? So yeah, you need to, Dhiraj, tell me more on the services industry.
right. So I'll focus basically, what we just saw in TCS a few minutes back is exactly what we did 3 years back with my current organization. This was our second assignment in terms of bringing the entire CRM into cloud. So for us, it was very important to know that what our consumers are looking for. What is their buying behavior? When do they look for holidays? When do they look for business travelers? How do we make a package where it is more attractive?
So who is your target segment out here? Is it anybody, everybody, or do you have a specific target segment, or what is that you, in services industries, do you segment it in some way, or?
Yeah, we segment as per each industry, and we get into the details, and that's where cloud has helped us in getting the details out what we were doing it. right from putting into all the activities and bringing them into a policy, and then how do we bring the whole solution out, which is adaptable to the end user, is what we were trying to do. End user meaning internally, and the consumer, those who are able to use those applications or information, what we are trying to reach a targeted audience. To say with our targeted audience is corporate segments, airlines, weddings, events, my segment. So these are the segments where we work in and around what kind of information or solutions they would be more friendly with, so that it's in a need, or we bring in more service experience, we bring in wow factor. So these were the key parameters where we looked at. And then we started building our own apps into cloud. That was the way forward, what we thought that time, that with our complete team in. We had certain challenges internally and then externally also. How much is too much? IT was a debatable thing which we were in and on, and we are still struggling on certain aspects where do we need to go forward, how do we need to do all that things. We keep doing it as and when it's required, and we answer them.
So I have many questions on that, especially service industry. How do you really connect? I'm sure that for connection you will use some kind of a package. You also said that some things that you have built, and probably you use some standard ones also. So I'm going to come back to you on that, because we need to understand from service industry perspective, what are the different things that people can also use. So I'll come back to you, and I will move to Khona, and I would like to know from you, in the manufacturing sector, what do you think that cloud can really help in whichever way? Especially maybe in engineering side also.
No, I have enough experience in manufacturing, 36 years, a long experience. And companies like Larsen and Toubro, I have experience in project business, I have experience in product business, and varieties of products. One thing is, first of all, IT is required, and IT is very, very much necessary for entire manufacturing sector.
Wow, thank you. Because I was already scared, I have less than half of your year's experience, and I was just thinking, if he also goes back and says that IT is not helping, then I'm dead. Thank you.
And today's environment, if you see, outsourcing is one of the key success factor for all the big organizations. Even medium organizations are also outsourcing to the smaller suppliers. So one of the biggest bottleneck in my experience, there are several, is a vast process, is a big thing, supply chain and logistics. But one of the biggest problem and bottleneck in my view is visibility of yours to the vendor's premises. Your operation in your factory, you have complete visibility. You know bill of materials, you know material availability, you know what is happening on the shop floor. Entire processes are clear, and you can have dashboard to see what is happening where. But at vendor's end, moment you give the purchase order, everything is blanked out till material comes to your warehouse. So this prompted us how to bring visibility of vendors' operations into IT landscape. And one of the idea was to create a hybrid cloud where we have our connectivity with suppliers, that is vendors and customers.
So what essentially you are saying is that, and I understand some part of that, is that most large telcos probably will have similar challenge where nowadays a lot of things get done outside your own company, right? So in terms of vendors developing some of your end products, giving it to you, and only the final assembly probably happens at the large telco. So you're a lot dependent on vendors, what you were many years earlier. So if your 80% of business depends on the vendor, it's essentially and of paramount importance that you have a complete visibility in what they're doing. Otherwise, they can just take you for a ride saying that, hey, I've not got this material and this is what it is, and your entire MSP goes for a toss. So the timeline, everything will go for a toss. So that's why probably you are coming from there, and you are saying that we need to be able to connect to these vendors, which could be in the integration space, it could be B2B, B2C, we will see that. But how cloud has really helped him is what we will ask him. So for the timing, I'm parking with you and I'm coming to you. And because you have initiated some kind of fire, and I love fighting, so I want to fight with you. So what is that you were trying to say that, it's the bad boy IT act and all of that? Can you give some more light, throw some more light on that IT act?
So let me share. It's not that it's just a bad boy, but there are enough of challenges. I mean, personally, if I have to share our journey, it started 3 years ago, and that time there were first of all not much options available for cloud in India. When we went for an international cloud provider, we took a risk of international connectivity and the SLAs, and also the capabilities to have the data being stored at international locations, and all that at a risk of what? A risk of a business user getting exposed to a uncertainty which is not attributable to him. So if, for example, my undersea cable goes for a toss, or my and last part, yes, I did mention about the IT Act, and IT Act prevents us to put our customer data, subscriber-centered data on international, beyond Indian territories. Now, what happens is in a business which you are serving customers, for example, whether it is Tata Sky serving the media entertainment customers, or whether it is Tanishq serving the humanities which loves
but
gold.
that you said probably, how many years, 3 years back, probably that was the situation. But today you have vendors in India. In fact, your own parent company that has gone on Tata Cloud, as we hear, right?
You are right. And that's
does
an
that
evolution which is
IT
happening.
Act still is prevalent in this category, or are they able to get away with it, and you are safe to put your things here?
Partially yes, because if I have moved 3 years, I have to look at the interoperability and transfer of data between one provider to other one, which is a challenge of its own type. I think a hybrid cloud is a potential solution, but in a situation where I have moved one step forward and one step backward is a solution.
Taking that, you have already moved 3 years back somewhere.
Yes.
What are the challenges in terms of data that you said? Did you not have an SLA where they said that at any point in time you want to exit out of them, they will give you your data back? Was that SLA in place or not?
I think that was never provided by any
So
of the providers.
this is one of the things, guys, we need to be very careful about. The data part which we are talking about, this is very, very important that we get into that and see that what are the SLAs that we have. Because today, if we cannot get our data back, it's not just about interoperability, because taking a very small example. So for example, I've developed something in .NET and I want to move it to Java. Most of the time, somebody will give me some kind of a converter, but it's a rewrite, right? But that's at the lower level in terms of the language that we are talking about. Nobody should stop me from having my own data. And I have heard, but today if you ask me, most of the cloud vendors, they are sensitive to this fact, and they also give you an exit criteria in terms of if you want to get out of them, your data you get back. And you must tie with only those people who give you this exit path. If they don't give you, they're not the right people for you.
Which is what is the lesson from an early adopter's perspective. Yes, you get an edge, you are the first ones to carry laurels, but the challenge is you do expose yourself to a risk, and that's the reason I said that cloud is not everything good. You have to search a silver lining.
Don't worry, we have more number of years. I had said 60 plus 36, 96 years of experience.
I think wheel is balanced on this side.
No, and add mine 19, okay? So it's 115 and minus 1500 years. We're still more than you. So we will see that we will convert you back into having a guy who will say that, oh, cloud is the most beautiful
I hope
thing.
to see that, because 100 years more than for my potential lifespan.
100%, it's the magic number everyone talks about, so that's what will happen. So I want to move a little more in the industry specific thing, and I have a very specific question for you. I'm not the insurance person at all, okay? So I'm going to read from my notes and I'm going to ask you some questions, because I had, when I was thinking that what are the things from insurance industry perspective, one of the things that I came, and it's called claims first notice of loss, okay? Now somewhere I read that it is one of the critical functions when it comes to insurance, but could you little explain about this claims first notice of loss, and how if someone has to go, can you just weave together with cloud computing what can be done or what cannot be done?
I think for a customer who's buying insurance, right, the most critical or the test of the whole insurance contract that he's bought is at the time of a claim. Now the insurance practices require the customer to intimate a claim as soon as it occurs, right? Therefore, there is need for the insurer or for the consultant to the client to be able to be close to the client, so that in the event of a loss or in the event of a claim, they are able to comply with that requirement of having intimated about a claim as it occurred or as soon as it occurred. I think using a cloud or using a tool that's hosted on the cloud gives our clients access to their information and to our tool at all points of time, and therefore for them to comply with this requirement that the insurance industry has makes it much easier. They don't have to look for access, look for their insurer or their advisor when they need to intimate about the claim as it occurs or once it's occurred. So I think in that sense, it does, the fact that it allows access allows us to be more approachable to our clients, and therefore them
So
to be
you
able to
do
comply.
you have this piece on cloud? Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, so we handle health insurance, right, and of all the insurances, if you study the subject, you will find that the frequency of health insurance claims are the largest. So we get about 1 lakh claims per year.
Really?
Yeah, so which is a
Wow.
few claims per day, and allowing our customers access to be able to intimate claims as they occur or as soon as they occur onto the tool, and therefore it getting reported to the insurer allows them the ability to comply with the requirements and not prejudice their claims in a manner that they don't get full settlement of the loss that they might incur. So in that sense, yes, clearly very valuable.
So you may okay. So you get so many claims. So would you? Does analytics fit anywhere in your things? Do you do this analytics in terms of really understanding the pulse of the how things are moving in the insurance industry?
Yeah, I think again, largely data-driven industry, and therefore analytics is a huge piece.
Okay.
Both for an insurer in terms of understanding what the frequency, what are the types of claims that are generating. So to be able to identify trends even as they are developing, right, and therefore to be in a manner of speaking ahead of the curve. For us as consultants to our clients, to be able to tell our clients where this is going and to develop sustainable solutions that are largely driven by the data and by the trends that are coming out. So I think analytics is a huge piece in terms of the intelligence that goes in, right. So capturing data, of course, is a small part of it, but being able to use it wisely, right, is the difference between getting a good solution and a not such a good solution.
So would you be open to having analytics, BI analytics on cloud?
Yeah, so the tool that we have already.
It's already there?
Yeah,
oh,
it's already
okay.
there.
You
So
are
it
much
obviously-
ahead of my thought process. That's good. We being in IT services, we think from your perspective, your as in a lot of industry perspective, and we also thought that that's one of the pieces that if it is on cloud, it's something which it can help. It can be a lightweight, and people really don't have to invest so much on having a huge investment in terms of BI analytics tool, because that's one of the very expensive tools. So someone can provide that. Yeah, you're already there. So
I have a question to Arvind. Arvind, did you, before going to cloud, did you do a risk analysis from your perspective, how much risk you are exposing yourself to, especially your data and the vulnerability associated with it?
Yeah. So we used a tool before we moved to this one, where we were hosting all the data in-house, right? One of the challenges we faced clearly was, and I think a similar challenge that you faced, is volatility in terms of number of users who want access to our systems, right? So let's say we launch a program at a particular corporate's location. Obviously at that point of time, we'll have the maximum number of employees wanting access to the data and to be able to declare dependence and host of work that they need to do in terms of accessing the database that's there, right? And once that event is done, that 15-day period is gone, for the remaining 350 days, we'll have sporadic transactions that will happen on this, right? And through the year, we'll have various clients that are getting onboarded. So having a data center of our own meant that we needed to provide for peak. So you provide for the largest client you have for the maximum access that they have. And then for maybe 80-85% of the time, you're not using it optimally. I think.
Right, I think that's, yeah, the
from that
infrastructure piece
perspective.
is very clear in terms of the cost saving and the scalability part that we are talking about. And most of us, I think, leverage maximum at that layer. Okay? But I was little curious, Radha, when you said, like, you have this private cloud, I understand. I mean, many people try out that as a first step towards cloud computing, and the safest also. But when you said that...
It's a question of, because we want to introduce affordable medicine, so we need to keep the
so I was coming to that. Don't hijack my question. Don't hijack my question.
We need to keep the, the cost very low. So how do we achieve that?
Yeah, how do you achieve that? That's my question.
That is where, we thought about it, and we said, rather than building high, heavy computing infrastructure, we virtualize, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, we can leverage,
But don't you think that probably, because I keep hearing this, and I don't want to say that I come with any understanding. I may have understanding, but today I'm just saying that. People keep saying that going to public cloud where Amazon is giving 5 cents, 10 cents per hour. It's dirt cheap, right? Why? And if the affordability is your issue, you should have first embraced public cloud. Why did you not do that?
Yeah. So when we talk about the public cloud, and especially when you have some clinical trials and stuff like that which is happening, so these data needs to be secured for a longer period of time. As you mentioned earlier, data portability sometimes is just an issue. Okay? That's one part of it. And, maintaining the confidentiality of the information, knowing the criticality, each trial has its own.
But Radha, you will be surprised if I tell you that I read somewhere, 2 case studies that come to my mind, and the clinical research data, specifically the one which you pointed out, and it's just hitting me right there, is those are the ones which people are using public cloud for, because there's a huge amount of computing which you can't really match in terms of doing it out of your private cloud. So say for example a 64 cluster machine that you want to make it. If you had to do it, I'm just giving you facts, okay? This is a real case study. If you had to do it and get this entire piece out for the clinical research, you will spend $60.40, $6.40. If you go to, say, for example, to Amazon, say for 20 minutes and you shut it down. Only 20 minutes, you use it extensively, 64 cluster machine. If you had to do that, can you tell me how many days you will take or weeks you will take?
That is something, which you are talking about. Is it something related to the development of the product? See, once, maybe there is a possibility, but I'm not disputing on that. But at present, how much of that is secure? That is something, which we need to look at it.
So you are saying for you, at least for the, wherever there is IP related or the innovation which comes into mind, you are still keeping all the data close to your heart, and you said that in no way I am going to go out of that.
For time being.
For the
Maybe
time
when we are getting, when we get convinced, probably, we might.
Okay, I'm not surprised if you really ask me, because many people do still think that way, and it's only a matter of time where I think people will loosen out, and when they start perceiving that even in the best hand, I just give an example to most people who are very scared about the data. I said that the data which you are talking about today, data which is there and lies in the hand of your database administrator, okay? How much secure is that compared to a data which you can have on, say, for example, Amazon, which gives you all kind of SLAs that they are talking about, and they're telling you that the data, wherever that is secured, and it's a 16 level of security that they have gone through, and they're one of the organizations which have really spent best in the class of industry experts to build that. So the question is whether you believe in your database administrator or you believe in something which is world class. For the time being, I understand your point of view. If the data still does not lie in my premises, you have a problem. I respect that.
Yeah, as I told you, there is a possibility of data portability issues. Okay? Because you can put the data on the cloud, and then they use some kind of software. And
right.
When you want to take it for later, because the gestation period for this data, the keeping the data records for longer periods sometimes becomes challenging.
No, but nowadays, as I told you,
no, you can make SLAs. I don't, you can have any kind of.
But
SLA
most cloud vendors now have understood that problem and they are working on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think I respect your view on the data part. I will ask, you had mentioned that in I mean services industries,
Yeah.
what I understand one of the most important thing is to touch and have that individual connect where people feel not empowered, but people feel that they're
Touch.
important, right? So if I have my preferences and somebody says that, okay, if I go and walk in, I just say, wow, it's my favorite coffee just lying there. You know, some those kind of experiences. How do you really touch that using cloud, or is it some other mechanism still which is there, more of a personal feel that people have, or how do you say that?
Bharati, just to answer that, how do we bring in the experience of what you're thinking now, and then how do we deliver when you actually enter a hotel?
Right.
Now from there to here, there are different stages of people and the process which we follow in.
Okay.
But with the cloud, what we've done is that if, let's say, the streaming is going live and I have the live streaming going on with my guest relations or in my concierge in the hotel, they would know that Bharati is looking out for a hot coffee. So to bringing in that wow experience is something that if I offer you a cappuccino when you enter the hotel saying that, you had a big day, busy day, let's,
with latte, please, latte and frappe. Okay.
So latte, I mean, going with that, with sugar-free is something that,
Sugar-free.
So taking that request in, what earlier it used to happen was that if Bharati is traveling in any of the hotels or internationally, to track that information was really a challenge. And when you used to visit those hotels, used to be 6-8 months. You might be liking the, not the sugar-frees earlier, but now you like a sugar-free. So from that time to what you are now, how do we bring that information in? How do we bring that, do you actually go for a coffee or do you actually go for a dosa when you're in Bangalore? So these are the information what we bring in with the technology real time to a concierge or to a service industry wherever it is. So if you go to a McDonald's, they'll ask you, sir, last time you ordered so-and-so, this is what it is. And if I travel and if I have that information with, as rightly said, that with the insurance or with the banking sector, if the information goes round, even if I go to US and order my McDonald's, they'll have all my preferences in. So these are the information which has helped us.
So what do you really use for doing that? Do you use any kind of a package, or what do you really use for having this kind of a collaboration?
In terms of engagement, what we've done is we've done all our property management system talking to a central point. And from there, we have integrated our customer relationship management, where we engage all our targeted audience. If you're traveling to Bangalore, it doesn't make sense for me to offer you something which is going in Delhi or any international property.
Right.
So for you to have that information in, first, that analytics information is very important for me. Second is, what information do I get and what kind of decisions do I take out? Is something that very critical for a user in order to serve you. So all that only had possible went live, and then we had all the social networking connect to our CRM or from a mobile device where we can push that information only to that selected audience, where we have that integration going on, live feeds coming in, and if I know that you're traveling this evening to Delhi back, then I'll inform my airport rep that, to receive you. So these are the engagement part what we have to.
So you feel from services industries, cloud computing has really helped you in a big way.
Yes, it has.
In terms of getting the preferences and basically touching and connecting with individual in a much better and informed way than it was earlier.
See, the smarter part of looking at this information is that if I know that you spend more on food, then I'll offer you food more. So it's a cross-selling also. And what to sell when, and to build on that revenue model and optimize that revenue by hitting you at the right time.
Smart guy. So you are first of all taking care of, by using cloud computing in the most sense that we understand, reducing the cost.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you are also making more money because somebody wants food, so or give him more food, right? So you're doing double dhamaka kind of a thing with cloud computing.
See, I'll tell you,
right?
I'll share my personal experience that a complete consumer feedback used to take 46 hours, and with this technology we've gone to 2 hours.
Wow.
with similar kind of people.
That's really good.
With same people, same workforce, nothing has changed, just that we've brought in technology in, and it has saved a lot of money, and then, you know, we are reaching the decision maker at the right time.
Great. I will move slightly different because I also read that, Harshad, you have extensive experience in SAP. Okay?
Yeah.
So I understand many people will be from IT side also and SAP side also. So on SAP side, I was little curious in terms of understanding that how does that piece really connect with cloud? Do you think they're taking any measures where they would start offering on cloud, or you think that it is a no-no at this point in time? Or what is your point of view where you think that SAP can really go on cloud in some time?
SAP itself is thinking about moving on to the cloud because they know, you know, like mobile, when it was introduced in 1995, the mobile piece was very big, the screen was very small, 15 mm, and only in black and white. And from that day till today, just see the penetration, see the development of the mobile phones. I expect similar things to happen on cloud. It will create an explosion across. And those who imbibe the technology faster will be able to weather any kind of storm because business cycles keep going up and going down. But what protects you is good processes, good control, good standardization. And the good standardization comes because of IT. IT-driven processes brings a lot of standardization. You don't have to remember many things. Many things are available on the system. A lot of reports can be there, a lot of comparisons can be there. And my previous speaker also was talking about vendors, about what they are providing cloud solution onto the vendor, because a vendor cannot afford to have any IT system, because for any IT system to maintain, manage, really, you will require several experts, right from maintenance of the servers, maintenance of the PCs, to softwares, to AMCs, to basis functions, to network management. No small vendor can afford this. The best way is like having a community kitchen or community washing machines, you know, like in US, whether several washing machines are there, you go take your clothes, go there, wash, come back and pay.
Oh, you've said a very good thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Community. Now that community word actually rings a bell in my mind. Yeah. So at least for some of you, maybe healthcare, I've heard that there is something called community cloud,
Yep.
right? So what that community cloud is really about? I mean,
basically, you know, we are trying to build some community club, community of, you know, doctors, or community of, you know, experts who can discuss about various diseases.
But you are so very closed
See,
about your innovation. How will you even share anything on community?
These are, you know, basically the public information which can be available, which is made available through, you know, other mediums. Because if some doctors wants to discuss internally or, you know, with other people, with other colleagues who are in other parts of the country and stuff like that. So if there is a community which is available for them to, you know, talk about a particular medicine or a particular disease, or, you know, some particular kind of treatment mechanism. So it becomes easy for them if they have a portal which is available, which can help, you know, them communicate, collaborate, and then get the benefit to the end user, the patient.
I'm not getting my notes, but I had read about the similar community cloud even in manufacturing. So that article said that, you know, in semiconductor manufacturing industry, how they have come up with having a community where there is a standardized way of doing things in terms of manufacturing and the workflow that they follow, etc. And there was a very, very weird name, IETSS or something like that. I don't know what's the full form of that. So even manufacturing uses a lot of those kind of community cloud that we are talking about. Is there any other industry that gets affected in terms of community cloud? Are we guys clear what community cloud is? It's a like-minded people that they come together and they share all of their ideas and specific things, which anyway can be available on public space, even on internet. You can Google and find it out. but having it at one place and collaboratively understand those of the things are something that people like to do in case of a community cloud. So any other industry which gets affected in your industry or your industry? It's not so prevalent.
Not so prevalent.
Not so prevalent.
It's not so prevalent. However, I have seen that some of the US-based universities have started collaborating among the class and students group on a community basis on a cloud. So what they do is assignments, especially computer science, are given on cloud to be executed on cloud, shared on cloud, and then the answers, hints, evaluation, everything happening on cloud. I've particularly seen Amazon sponsoring it.
Okay. So before we move to the round 2 in terms of seeing their experience in terms of the challenges that they have faced and having the obvious thing of cost saving, is there anything else that they see in terms of cloud computing helping them? Before that, I think I will open the dais for the audience to ask questions to them, and then we will take the round 2 in terms of seeing the round of challenges. Yeah. In case we have time, he's already showing me there's only 10 minutes. But yeah, we have two hands there. Someone can reach them with a mic, please.
Okay, are you able to hear me?
And please tell your name and the organization that you belong to. So we will be able to connect where you're coming from.
Okay. My name is Srikanth and I am with Compute Next Inc. It's very interesting to note that a lot of these different verticals have adopted cloud and you're doing phenomenal work in the verticals. But I think we are at a point where we can avoid talking about the word or using the word cloud and we can be very specific. For example, are you using OpenStack when you do a private cloud? Or are you using virtualization, right? That's an important question which we need to answer because that enables us from a technology point of view to understand that in your vertical, is it, I'm talking about the healthcare topic, right? Is it virtualization which enables you to achieve what you want to achieve, or is it cloud, right? As in the paradigms of scalability and pay-per-use and all those kinds of aspects, right? So I think it will be good if we can identify what do you mean by cloud, right?
So your second question I will answer first and I will come back to the first one. On the first one, I had specifically asked each one of it was a request from my side, not to use any vendor's name, even if it is in the open area like OpenStack that you're talking about. Because you know what happens, we get biased by thinking that those are the players who are the ones who can give you a solution. And there is not really something which is open. We will not have a meaningful dialogue in terms of really understanding the industry perspective. It's not their fault, it is more of I had driven that, saying that we will not talk about any of the companies. Because I have here 2 of the panel members where I know that we have given some solution to that. But we don't want that to happen. So coming to the second question which you asked, that's a fair question in terms of that in terms of technology. Did the virtualization really help, or it was the cloud that we are really talking about? So the fact that we are talking about cloud, right, already takes care of the virtualization that we are talking about. We clearly differentiate, and all of us do understand that there is a clear difference between the virtualization that we are talking about or the cloud that we are talking about. For example, Google, it doesn't use any kind of virtualization at all, right? It's still one of the biggest cloud player. So do we really want to get down and bog down ourselves in terms of seeing that what is a small piece which can help me? Or are we talking about in business, how the business is addressed? And today in the panel discussion, I wanted to concentrate more on the business side because whole of the day we have been hearing technology, technology and technology. But you have specific questions, I will answer that because I come from technology. I will be able to give you all the perspective from technology in terms of how or what it has helped.
I think my question was mostly from a business point of view. Is it virtualization or what we call as cloud computing which helps all of your businesses? To understand, for example, the example you mentioned about knowing Bharati's likes about Frappuccino or something like that, it's quite intrusive, but still getting that information and analyzing it, is it the big data which helped you? Or is it just that you had a large amount of machines which are
that was my round 2. You have hijacked that big data. That was round 2. Okay. Yeah, so in that, we will come to that. We will see that how or any one of them has touched big data in some way. To me, from the answers that they have given, it didn't look like, but we will still see in terms of if anyone has really done something in big data. But
sorry.
virtualization was not really the question at all, because the kind of use cases that they are talking about is more on the SaaS layer, which they really don't care about the underlying virtualization.
I'm willing to listen to them in terms of how cloud enabled their businesses, right?
So
I'm not talking about technology. I'm just talking about, for them, how did virtualization help them? That's it.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I will answer Shri, right? Okay, Shri, just to answer service perspective, I'm not answering as a IT. Now, how cloud helped us is that it's not you only be on a cloud. The important part is how well are you connected on the cloud? Whom are you connected with? Now, there are so many restrictions that if I need to know about what Shri is talking about 2 minutes back, then I need to have that push coming in from you. Without I don't take a request from you, I can't enter your data. So these are the things which has really helped. So just to answer, has it helped? I think to a business to an extent of 22%. I can't share the numbers. In terms of service, our service has gone up from 70% to 95%. To know our consumers more, yes, we have got that reach in. In terms of knowing the consumer behavior, in terms of buying patterns, we've got into the details of getting into that if Shri would like to buy a cup of, let's say, cappuccino, after 7 o'clock, would that be more in to do with? Wouldn't have been possible without a cloud to us. So I think that not only being on a cloud will help or give you a solution, or where you can look into your revenue models, where you think how are you well connected on the cloud itself, and looking at your security or looking at your whatever aspects you have, looking at your organization. But yes, end result is if you bring in revenues, if you bring in quality, if you bring in experience, if you bring in wow factor, yes, cloud is the way forward, and connect is what we're looking at.
And Shri, just taking that clue from you, I'm going to ask the panels about big data, but before that, if to make sure that we all are on the same page on big data. Big data is the new entrant. People talk about more not from IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS. Big data is something like, I'll take an example not from this industry so that they are free to answer their part. Say, for example, oil and gas, right? Now, if you know that there are many wells that oil and gas, those guys like ONGC, for example, manages a lot of wells. Now, these wells, the amount of alarm that it generates per second is phenomenal. And the kind of data that it really gives you is huge. So the normal idea of we doing an analytics based on this data it's really takes us to a different paradigm. So there are two things that I'm talking about. One is the dynamic data that I'm talking about, which itself is huge, and I'm wanting to know and doing some analytics on that huge data, and that's why it's called big data, is something that are the use cases people are talking about in today's day. So people have already moved from IaaS, PaaS, SaaS to big data. So coming to that, any one of you, have you seen the amount of big data? So in big data, one more aspect is there could be structured and unstructured data. So you could have unstructured data from things like Facebook, Twitter, and whole lot of things which you can't even think of. And you can have structured data in terms of the ones which you can get from your own database that you are sitting on the mine of data that you are sitting on. So combining these two together and somebody doing an analytics is the big data we are talking about. So any one of you, I mean, I'm not very sure, maybe you have a use case. You see that there is, I know one for sure, Radha, you could have a potential in doing that. So would you be able to highlight something on that?
Yeah, from while we start, these experiments, any R&D project, during that time, you will be having a lot of data generated from various equipments.
Mm-hmm.
And, these needs to be analyzed properly, okay, and it needs to be stored, okay. As I mentioned earlier, the storage is, one big area where we have a concern, because we need to store this data for a longer period. It's not that, okay, today you take the data, 1 year later, you dump it, you don't need it.
Do you do also analytics which is very dynamic in nature?
Because if we don't do the analytics, when we are doing the experiments, we may not be able to, get the, hello? Yeah, we may not be able to, realize the final outcome of
Your
the
mobile,
product.
I think somebody's mobile.
Yeah, so you may not be able to, if you don't analyze during the process of your project, the data, you may not be, sure of your end result. So if need to be corrective, if there are any corrective actions that has to be taken, it has to be taken at the right time.
Okay.
So that can be possible only if you, start analyzing the data. And these machines generate a lot of data, which needs to be analyzed.
Okay, great. So we will take another question on that and we'll come back to this. Yeah, there's one there. Oh, one here.
Yeah, hi Bharati, my name is Anuj Joshi, I work with Amazon. We were talking about community projects, community cloud. I just wanted to share, last month we announced that the Genome 1000 project, which is a project around sequencing of genomes and variation in genetics, is now available free of cost on Amazon.
Wow.
We are talking about around 300 terabytes of data, which is now available. So potentially that could be used by a lot of researchers and companies around the world to then do further studies. I just wanted to share that.
Wow, great. That's good. Yeah, I think, one question is there and then we'll come back to it.
Hi, my name is Ravi Ipaturi. The question goes to the gentleman from Tata Sky, and if I can ask another one, then I would like to ask the gentleman from L&T. The question to you out there, sir, is over the 3 years, what kind of checks did you kind of put in place to ensure that the data does not go overseas?
Okay, so what we did was we started on a proof of concept level. We first of all went to the stages where there was no data being put on cloud, and to be fair and clear to you, we have not put any data so far on the cloud level except the user profiles, which is something which we have always kept a backup of it. But beyond that, this is a point up to which we could reach looking at the the legal requirements we have within India. Beyond this, if we have to go, we have to put specific customer data. So to be fair, we haven't put the data so far. We were cautiously watching about the steps to follow. The reason of my, what I say is a situation where I'm in a hybrid mind or looking for a hybrid solution, and which is what I have learned today in the sessions, is an integration of a internal and external clouds on a seamless way, so that you can keep your data in the right place and you can keep your scalability benefits of the public cloud.
Right.
Thank you. Can I just ask a quick one of the gentleman right at the end from L&T?
Yeah.
So you talked about going out and connecting with your vendor community. Yeah. Just what is that one check that you had from an audit standpoint so that you got the basic data to just make sure that your supply chain was good? So what was that one check, and how often did you get that check audited, that audit check done?
Yeah. See, what I was talking about is a visibility of vendor side. See, what is happening to supply chain, the most critical part is communication. Communication is not a verbal communication, but communication of the position, communication of the levels of inventory which you have in your factory. You can go to scores of the factory, you will find number of times the production has comes to a halt because material is not available. You will find number of, and that is 1 minute loss because of material not available is huge. How vendor can give you better service? Is by complete communication. So by what I mean by my cloud is this, that I give my visibility of my inventory to the vendor, and I get visibility at his operations in my system. So what happens that whether vendor will require some material from different vendors, he has the bill of material, he has the latest drawings, what kind of quantities are available for him to produce that kind of product, when is the order due, when he is going to make supply. All these things are made visible to each other, and with many alerts which are available to both business as well as vendor, when to supply, how to supply, what quantity to supply, so that mishap of this kind do not occur. Suppose in Larsen Toubro we take air circuit breaker. One air circuit breaker contains more than 1500 components, and just look at the probability of one component not available, the breaker cannot be made. 100 workmen on one line and 1500 components, and probability of, even if you take probability of 0.01, it will amount to more than 15% of time the material stock out will be there. So you require a strong, robust communication channel where he has a visibility in my stock, I have a visibility in his area, so that in collaborative platform we work in such a way that there is a win-win situation for both. We cut down all kinds of costs. We do not require great infrastructure as vendors, and simple internet connection is enough. And cost of this ownership to the vendor cannot be more than mobile phone bill. These were some of the objectives with which we started.
So that's one of the key objectives. See, they are on SAP R3. They could have probably extended, but having 20,000 vendors on SAP R3 could have been a very expensive solution. So to have something which is very cost effective and open source solution, which will have a kind of an open source ERP at the vendor side, but which can talk to the SAP R3, is one of the prime checks in terms of bringing down the cost and having a complete visibility.
One more thing I will add. You know, when many times vendor have to visit the factory where you are supplied the material. Many times you will find he has to come here to know what is status of material, whether goods received notice made, whether material is passed, what happened to my billing. We have made a provision that vendor does not have to come to our factory ever. Everything he gets on his desktop. He knows the situation, he knows what kind of taxes I have to pay. And second thing, you know, that when material goes from our side to the customer side, the amount of data entry he has to do about excise and quantities and pricing and everything in his database is a phenomenal. The amount of time they spend, because they are a small entrepreneur, on these kind of things and controlling these things, he is not able to spend his time on really developing his business. So this, what we said, that we will empower the vendors to deliver more, and we have all the vendors which are there for many years, and vendor consolidation is one of the main objective for us.
Just take, I can see 3 hands. Mike, please.
Yeah, my name is Venkat. I'm coming from Mahindras and Mahindras. The question is for Tata Sky. When you are talking about hybrid solution,
Tata branded.
Yes, go ahead.
How you are making sure that your critical data must be in your own data center and all your application must be hosted in a cloud platform or a open platform, whatever you are running through. So in case of any crisis or any issues, how you have made sure that your services are not getting disturbed?
Okay, so what we did was we segregated and classified our applications into certain categories. We do have a cloud strategy for our own organization. Obviously, it's based on the learnings which we went through as an enterprise. What we did was we classified the applications which were interfacing, for example, my website, my special websites, where I, first of all, my corporate website, then my website which interacts with, the vendors, the recharge points, and some of those websites which are just collecting details and keeping them in my database, passing it to my database. I have exposed them. And then I have classified the data in such a way that it doesn't get into that critical stage where I have to expose it. So we did that classification, and then we moved the application to the cloud. We stopped at a stage where we realized that this is a point beyond which we have to look at the strategy in a different way, and that's how we are structuring things.
So you meant to say you are not running any real-time application on the cloud-based platform?
We are running real-time applications. However, they do not interact with my customer database.
So you are saying that there's still peripheral applications and not core applications.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Okay.
Thank you. So you, for example, you can recharge, but you can't know my customer's name or address or, demographic details.
Hello. Hi, Bharati. I'm Ravindra. I work for Verizon. And my question is more related to the cloud as a configuration. What I understand throughout the day, as well as with my experience, that it needs a lot of configuration, or there is some amount of complexity associated with the cloud when you want to use or adopt it. So I just want to ask the very simple and straight question. Are there any moves, or are there any plans, or is something happening about getting standardization to the cloud? So that, like, just take an example of laptop or any other device. It can be used by any person of any profession, let it be manager, engineer, or whatever level. Or so maybe there's some softwares or the packages used on are varying. So is something happening on the cloud, like which will have plug and play kind of architecture also? So it doesn't have a lot of complexity associated.
Okay, so to answer that, and because I come from the technology and IT services, I would be able to say that. The attempt is towards that. Okay, so there is a body which is gearing towards standardization of lot of things which go on cloud computing, and there are leading players in that. All leading players which you can think of today are part of that body. However, if you really ask me, it is going at snail's pace. So in terms of standardization, it's a long way before we can really think that there will be some standard way of doing things in cloud computing in all the stacks that we are talking about. People are only saying, but there are probably compelling reasons why they don't want to do that, and that has business reasons, and that's totally my point of view. Because if there is a standardization, then a lot of money that they make out of the integration, out of interoperability, all of that will go away. Again, this is my point of view, and I think because of that, it is really going at a snail pace, and today we are nowhere near having anything called as a standardization of the cloud computing platform.
Bharati, this community cloud will drive the way one day.
Yes, many things can drive and should be driving, but the fact is that today we are not there anywhere.
Right, this technology is evolving in India.
Right.
People are adapting and looking at it, and trying to understand. But standardization is always in the favor of the consumers. And it is up to the consumer to how do we standardize and use it. So it is always beneficial for consumer to go to a standardized product.
Right.
And in fact, many of the evolutions have happened by the end users' requirements. For example, the way number portability has come into India, it was because we all were looking for a change.
Right. So it's all of us collectively, when we are pushing, someday it will happen. But if you ask me today, though people are claiming that they are acting on it, it has not happened. Any more questions? Okay. So from audience, sorry. Yeah. So from audience, okay.
Hey, this is Sujit here from Actians. Just to add a view on the discussion we had regarding the data security and then reluctance of an industry to have data in some remote locations or something like that, right? So there is some initiative with respect to standardizations which is taking place where there are discussions to have common cloud API sort of thing where this can liberate us from vendor lock-in or having the data in some remote locations. Say, for example, if the vendor wants, if the customer wants to have the data in his own data center, likes to have some kind of an hybrid and as well as public network, public cloud. So the API should have the facility. Say, for example, if I want my data, if I want to have entire control over my data, the API should write all this data to my data center rather than to replicate it to its own data storage or whatever. So
you're very right, but isn't it ironic if I tell you that some of the vendors which are there on the board of that, they themselves are not open and say that my software or my data will work on only my virtualization. I'm not taking the name, but it's really ironic. So
exactly. So raw data storage can be on your data, but the conversion and all the factor has to be taken care by the vendor itself. And this is just very early stages. So like just the networking which we had on 1994 or something. So maybe it will take some years for standardization, but we'll get there.
Yep, I'm also hopeful, and we would like to have that, because life will be much better for all of us.
Yeah, thanks.
How much time do we have? Because I have one last one round. I just wanted to ask only one topmost challenge from each one of them. Do we have time? Yeah, one. So quickly, just I will ask each one of you, is the topmost challenge which you think in cloud computing, or the area which is a complete no-no from your industry perspective?
I think two things.
I said one. Sorry, go ahead.
So in terms of driving access or having clients use tools that are hosted or data that's hosted on the cloud, I think investing in the best resources in terms of giving clients comfort on security of the data that we host on the cloud, that's a top priority. And of course, we also have regulations that don't allow us to host data internationally, and the backup tool that we have allows us to segregate the data in terms of data that we host locally, that's called cloud in a box, and data that we send outside. So clearly we have some areas of no-no in terms of information that we can put onto the cloud.
Okay, great.
Yeah. When it comes to our type of industry, it is more on the data portability.
I already know about you. It's still very close to your heart. Okay.
Yeah. And then the connectivity.
Over dinner, we will still discuss that.
Yeah. Okay. Regulatory requirements, meeting the regulatory requirements.
So regulation, I understand, but one of the speakers before us, he did speak that, in 1.5 to 2 years, at least in India, our government is going to take care of the HIPAA compliance and all of that, and maybe life will be much better for all of us.
Yeah,
Alok.
One of the system which will be, which I will never put potentially visibly on cloud will be my provisioning and activation systems, because this is something which touches my customer's emotions. If I don't activate his channel immediately and he misses an event, whether it is match or whatever it is, it's going to take me out of business. So I will never put the activation and provisioning on cloud.
Never say never, because you never know. I might come and I'll convince you on that.
We will wait for the day.
Yes.
But the challenges in terms of service, as rightly said by Sujit, Shri and the audience here, for us is the biggest challenge is the integration. The second is that how simple do we make it? These are the challenges what we've experienced, and we think that we have to overcome these kind of challenges in future. Whether it's an API, what just Sujit said, or anything to do with simple solution on a standardized form is what we think.
Great. And last word from you, Mr. Khona.
I believe in going up the ladder of technology. Like we trust doctor and tell him everything. Like a good service provider, a trustworthy service provider, I think he gives you much better services because he has the right kind of talent in every segment of IT management. Though it be security, through it the hardware management, disaster management, upgrade, patch apply, everything they can manage much better than individually any company can manage, because entire talent pooling has taken place at that point of time. Like we trust the doctor, I will trust a reputed supplier and go with him full hog.
Great. And there we have a very good session, and give a good round of applause for them. They've really taken time in terms of giving us insights into their own industries, and I'm sure we have benefited. They'll be available after this panel discussion also, so you can always catch them, and thanks a lot for you. Thanks a lot.
Hang on there.
Hang on there? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So as an MC, I was wondering if I could summarize this whole panel in
Oh wow, I wanted to do that. You told me there is no time.
And I found that word, and that word is wow. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
great.
Bharati, this could go live prime time in CNBC anytime.
Yeah. Oh wow, thank you, thank you.
So I request Bharati to accept to give the guests a small token of our appreciation, please.
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Yeah. Keep on giving that. Yeah. Thanks a lot. We really enjoyed. Thank you. Thank you. And someday I'm going to convert you. Don't worry. Thank you. Thank you. Never say never. We will have a great time. Yes. Thank you. Thanks a lot. You really gave a good perspective. Thank you. Yeah. And thanks a lot. I'm sure that one day I'm going to get coffee with latte and frappe. Sure. My choice. Yeah. Right? Thank you. And thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is the end of our session for day one. Thank you.